everybody, it is going on 12:20 in the afternoon right now. I'm just now getting on my lunch and heading to the house to go take care of Oscar. It's Tuesday, December 13th, and today's already shaping out to be a much easier day than the last 2 days I had of work last week were. Namely, for one, being the fact that we had no appointments this morning, which is very nice. I got a lot of work done already because of that. I did a lot of stuff with our social media stuff, and my boss and I have sat down and figured out exactly like what our plan is going for the next couple of days in terms of the fact that I have to create an ad campaign that's going to be on Facebook, Instagram, and on Google, and it's going to be involving basically the difference between microblading and ombre and why we tend to do ombre more than microblading, because it's like a whole thing. If you don't know what those things are, basically they're types of permanent makeup that essentially are done on the eyebrows to create kind of a more defined look for eyebrows. A lot of times it's so that people don't have to fill their eyebrows in as often, if at all. And the difference between microblading and ombre is that microblading basically is more of like getting a tattoo, where the pigment is cut into the skin and it has a whole list of problems that come with it. But we do what's also called ombre, which basically is creating an ombre effect on the brow, like it sounds, where the pigment is more powder based. It doesn't cut into the skin, and it actually lasts a lot longer than just getting microblading done, and a lot of times is used to correct any microblading problems, because there's, like I said, a long list of things that can happen that are a cause of microblading, such as like the color changing drastically because of people's sensitivities to, the pigment, or the actual process of getting the pigment put on, stuff like that. And so ombre tends to be the way that we end up fixing people who've had microblading done in the past where it didn't turn out great, 5-10 years after the fact. And we kind of are trying to push to educate people too on why it's important to not only know the right method for you when it comes to getting any kind of permanent makeup done, like what's going to be your best method based on things like your skin type, your age, your lifestyle, things like that, but also to educate people on the fact that most social media accounts that do permanent makeup, they don't show the actual real life results of things that happen 2-3 years down the line. When they show things that are microblading, especially, they only show the immediate results, or like the after 2 months of being healed results. They don't show the results for like brows after a year, 2 years, when the brows already are like fading super, super quick. So we want to like basically advocate for ourselves and what we do by indicating, listen, people don't really know the ins and outs of how microblading works and what exactly can happen to you, after a couple of years, because we have more clients who come to us looking for corrections because of the fact that the microblading, it's not done ever properly. It's not, and our own CEO will never do things like microblading. Like, she would much rather do something that's less permanent. And so part of the post too is going to be talking about, this is the reason why our own CEO will never do microblading and will never recommend microblading as like a first resort. Like, it is one of those things where like we want to advocate more for people's actual well-being and, longer lasting results that are going to make them happy, as opposed to doing something that's trendy or quick and is going to make us like a lot of money, because you can make a lot of money doing microblading, but we don't want to do that. We want to actually provide a good service for our clients that come in that want these brows done. And that's really where we've based a lot of our customer base on, is the fact that like we want to make sure that they are 100% happy with the process, the results, and the healed results, years down the line. And we've had people who've come in and they've had, even with our ombre services, any number of issues, but the issues are much less in the sense that it really has nothing to do with what we did. It has nothing to do with how they didn't take care of it. It really comes down to their skin and the fact that, unfortunately, there are some people who, even if they get the ombre that is supposed to be better for their skin, they metabolize it a lot differently than other people. Like those kinds of more rare cases. But even then, we will, work with them on a solution of what's going to be best for them based on one, their budget, and two, what we are capable of doing depending on the issue that is at hand. So anyway, that's kind of what part of my job is right now, is learning a lot of this stuff and then building the content surrounding around it for things like ads, because that is basically what my main job is going to be, other than manning the front desk and, you know, doing the appointment booking and taking, you know, the money from people. Like, my main job is going to be the content, not so much creation, but the content structuring, I think, more than not, because we are outsourcing, at least for a little while, some of the content to be created by somebody else. But in terms of like pushing out like really quick Facebook ads and stuff like that, I will be in charge of in creating those and building on what exactly, you know, we want to have go out in the future. Now, I feel like that has taken way too long for me to explain, so I'm going to move on to what is going to be going on in terms of my goals for this week in terms of reading, because last week was really rough for a lot of reasons outside of work. My reading suffered massively last week with the fact that I had 2 DNFs, as well as not really having the energy to read by the end of the week. So I'm still currently working on Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is the first book in the Red Rising series. It used to be a trilogy, but it has been expanded to more of like, I think, a quintet at this point, with either the 5th book coming out next year or the 6th book coming out next year. I don't remember. But basically, this is a sci-fi series that I remember years ago hearing tons about. Like, the book by itself, I think, was published, and I want to say like maybe like mid 2010s. I don't remember exactly if it was like 2014 or 2013, something like that. But when I was getting involved with like BookTube and stuff back in like 2015, 2016-ish, it was really, really popular as like a science fiction series. Everybody was comparing it as like Hunger Games based in space, which to some extent I do see the Hunger Games references, but it is much more than that, because it's not necessarily just the aspect of like there being a revolution of the, you know, lower classes beating up on the higher ones. There's a lot more going on with this, with especially the main character, because I mean, for one, you find out very early on that his dad, like within the first chapter, you find out that his father was trying to build a revolutionary team to overthrow the more successful Reds, which are like the lowest caste in this entire world. And that went south in the sense that his dad was then put up for execution, because any kind of rebellion was like stamped out super quick. And the main character, Darrow, was like 7 years old when that happened. And then we jump forward about 9-10 years later when he is about 16 years old, and you learn a lot about like the culture of this world, basically how it's an entire colony of people on Mars, the planet Mars, that are tasked with basically preparing the planet for the upcoming like migration basically of humans from Earth. Essentially, Earth had decided that they wanted to expand to other planets that could be made livable, and so they started off with Mars, since it's one of the closest planets we have. And there have been, for generations, people who have been creating the space that essentially would be inhabited by the Earth people. Darrow is what is called a hell diver, where basically he goes into the cracks and crevices of Mars and is basically trying to mine through and create passages and, you know, stuff like that. But he also has to be aware of gas pockets, because the gas pockets that are on the surface of Mars or could be lingering underneath the surface of Mars are incredibly dangerous. You know, they can burn people really easily, they can kill them, stuff like that. So it's not a very easy job, and naturally, when anyone is thinking about any kind of dangerous kind of job that most people would probably not willingly go into, you usually have people who are the lowest caste doing those, because they are doing anything they possibly can to obtain money or goods for their family. And Darrow, at this age of 16, in this culture, he is already married. He is married to a childhood sweetheart of his named Io. And you learn about how Io has really, since Darrow's father's death, been like super gung-ho about wanting to be a revolutionary person, so much to the point that she quite literally dies for it. And it's kind of traumatizing for more than one reason. And the whole point of the story is basically watching Darrow become involved with the revolutionary group without really understanding much of what the revolution is trying to do, because he's never really wanted to be a part of it since he lost his father and now his wife to that. And so he is basically trying to figure out what's going on and how he can get revenge for his wife's death and then also his father's death, because basically he said enough is enough, and he's joining up with a resistance of sorts that are going to try to bring down at least, you know, some form of power that is involved, because there's a group of people called the Golds who are like one of the higher caste people that are in charge of this group of Reds, and he wants to bring them down. But the resistance is kind of like wanting him to set his sights on bigger fish, in a sense, that will then trickle down to taking care of everybody else that he wants to, you know, bring down. So far it's very interesting. I do, like I said, see some of the ties in terms of it with Hunger Games, where it's, you know, you have the castes and you have somebody who is in the lowest caste basically going to try to start a revolution, stuff like that. But there's so much more to this than just that I think that by comparing it to the Hunger Games fully does not give the story enough justice. And it's kind of almost insulting in some ways, I think, to say that it is the Hunger Games in space, because again, there's just so much more involved in it than just the overthrowing of a government. But if you like those kinds of things like there is in the Hunger Games, you would probably enjoy this. So I do, again, see the resemblance, but I think it is in some ways insulting to try to compare this fully to the Hunger Games, as I have heard people try to compare it fully to. But I think that tonight I would like to try to get through a really good chunk of it. I don't know exactly what the plans are for tonight. My husband has not been feeling very well the last week. He is going to the doctor after work today to figure out what's going on, because he's just had this awful cough for like going on a week now. And he needs to get that figured out, whether or not it's something like bronchitis or whatever the case may be. So I have no idea what is in store for me today, other than getting home and making dinner. Like that's as far as I'm really aware. The only other thing I can think of is I would like to do some editing tonight, because I only had enough time yesterday to edit my vlog from last week to put up today, which should be out by now because it's now afternoon. So I would like to get my other 2 videos for this week edited, because one of them has to go out Thursday. It's the announcement for the next round of Battle of the Bookish, so I need to get that taken care of. And then the other one, I probably could wait to edit until a little bit later this week, but if I'm gonna edit one, I may as well edit the other as well, especially since the editing for the second video is not nearly as invasive. Like, it's kind of something where it's like I do make a couple quick edits and then basically export it and that's good to go. So that's kind of my plan for today, is focusing on that. But I am just about to get home to my Oscar boy, who is doing very well. He had a really good day with his trainer yesterday. I am home now, so I'm going to go and take care of my Oscar boy and take him on his walk, and I will speak to all of you guys sometime tonight when I've made some kind of progress, hopefully, with Red Rising. Hey guys, it's been a minute. I apologize. The last few days have been very uneventful, so I haven't really wanted to talk about anything. Hi, Oscar! Oh my goodness! Oh, Bubby! Hi! Hi! Apparently Oscar wanted to come say hello. Hi, buddy. You want to say hello to the vlog? Want to say hello? Oh, bless you. Bubby, look. Look. Right here. Look at the camera. Look at the camera. Say hi. Anyway, yeah, he's vying for my attention because I've basically been up here all day doing pre-filming for the next 2 weeks because of the fact that it's the week before Christmas, and I just want to make sure I can get content out for the end of the year. So I'm going to be doing a lot of editing tomorrow. It's been a day, and it's been a week, and it feels like the last couple of weeks. I don't know. It's just been crazy, and I haven't really made much progress in Red Rising. I've been struggling with having motivation to read because I've been so exhausted coming home from work. And today I'm actually going to be starting with Rhythm of War because I wanted to start that this weekend while I had the ability to, and I had an Audible credit that I could get to get the audiobook for free. So I got the audiobook earlier today. I'm going to be listening to it over the course of the night, but I basically wanted to end this vlog here because I'm going to be transitioning into doing my Rhythm of War reading vlog for this weekend, and that's basically going to be it for me otherwise. And I want to end that one tomorrow, and pretty much everything I want to talk about is going to be revolving around Rhythm of War, not Red Rising. So I'm going to put Red Rising on hold for probably today and tomorrow, and then pick it up again on Tuesday. And hopefully we can start next week off better and ended better too, because I just feel like I had no mental space to even sit and film and talk to you guys about how things have been going. It's just been very, very crazy with the holidays and trying to still kind of feel like I'm getting in the swing of things at work. There were some issues earlier this week that I think have been ironed out for the most part. And now it's kind of just getting into a new groove that's going to work best for everybody. So it's just been, you know, mass hysteria, and I still have to sit and wrap presents too, so I'm going to be doing that essentially this evening, probably as I listen to Rhythm of War. But I need to go downstairs and take a break after having done all this filming for literal hours. I've been up here since probably about 11:30 this morning, and I have no clue what time it is, but it's getting dark, as you can see. So I'm going to go downstairs, hang out with my husband for a little bit before he heads off to a work dinner, and probably get myself some dinner made as well here shortly. And then, like I said, get presents wrapped and move all of the footage I have just filmed over to my laptop and start prepping the files so that tomorrow I can start editing. And I'm even going to probably start editing some videos tonight to kind of get a jump start. So it's going to be crazy. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I know this was probably a really short and not very eventful vlog. I apologize. That's kind of how this entire week has been completely uneventful, and just, it honestly flew by really quick, I will say. I feel like I don't remember what I did really Tuesday other than work, and now it's Sunday and I have Monday off still with my weekend, so it's odd. I don't know how to feel, but I hope you guys are doing okay. I hope the holidays are treating you well. If not, you're almost done. Holidays are almost over with. I hope that things go okay for you. We got a lot of snow here the last couple of days, so we actually might have a white Christmas this year, which will be really cool. It seems like we hold out on the snow until right before Christmas, and then if we're lucky, it'll stay put until after Christmas, and then it goes away. So we'll see. We'll see how Michigan decides to deal with that this year, but I'm gonna go take my break and just relax. So I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye, everyone.